Let's just be real. We all have periods where self-doubt is going to creep in. It might be higher at certain times in our lives, but we have to be able to shake that self-doubt. We have to be so confident and so clear on who we are and what we want and knowing what we're capable of, so that when that self-doubt comes in, like, we're able to slap that hoe. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I am your host, Marissa Tong. Thank you so much for tuning back into another episode this week. Happy Tuesday if you're listening to this on a Tuesday. So happy to be here and to be diving into a new topic with you all this week. We are officially in season 3. We kicked off season 3 last Friday with our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. Again, thank you to everyone who's been supporting the podcast for a year. It's been such a fun journey, honestly, like just learning how to podcast, like producing everything myself, editing everything myself. Like, yes, it's work, but I truly feel like this podcast is like a safe space for not just myself, but for other women. And I know like there's men who listen to this as well, but I know like most of my demographics, are women. So I just want to continue to create a safe space for women to come and to find relatability and to learn and to feel motivated and to feel inspired to show up as your best and healthiest self. And also just for me to, to be real, to have a platform to really come on and like talk about real shit, like that was really the point of starting this podcast. For me, it's not about trying to make this the number one, podcast in the world. Like, yeah, that would be great. But that's not my goal. My goal is to continue to grow my audience, to continue to also grow and evolve with this podcast, and to be very like real, authentic, and transparent through my own growth, through my own transitions, through my own challenges, and to come on here and really like, talk about it. So today we are going to be diving into the topic of being a high value woman. So you may have heard of the term high value woman or high value man, and you might have some idea of like what it means, or maybe you consider yourself to be a high value woman or man. So today we're really going to dive into what that looks like, and I'm going to give you guys some tips on how we can step more into that role of feeling high value, like really stepping up our self-worth, knowing our value, knowing our worth, allowing other people to also see that within us. But obviously we have to see that within ourselves first, okay? So first, let's talk about what a high value woman is, okay? Being a high value woman has nothing to do with your income. I'm just going to say that first, okay? It has nothing to do with your income. It has nothing to do with the money in your bank account. It has nothing to do with the money that you're spending. It has nothing to do with your material possessions or your material wealth. Being a high value woman really comes down to the way that you see yourself and the way that other people see you, the way that you present yourself to the world, right? Being the most confident, being smart, being resourceful, being someone that people respect, being someone that people look up to, being someone that people would come to if they wanted some type of advice or they wanted to be supported, or, there's so many different ways that we could take this, but let's dive in, okay? So that being said, right, being a high value woman has nothing to do with the income. So what does it have to do with, right? Your value really comes down to the way that you treat yourself, right? So think about like the most expensive bag that you could think about, right? For some people, that's a Louis bag. For some people, that's a Birkin. For some people, it's a Prada bag, right? What makes that item high value? Is it the actual item itself that makes it high value, right? Because most of the time, like these items are being made in like China by kids or whatever the case. Sorry, if you are someone that has these bags, not trying to make you feel bad about it. But a lot of the times, like, it's not the material, right? It's not the material possession of the bag. It's the value of the company. It's the brand. It's the name. It's the way that the company is marketing and promoting this item. It's the people who are carrying the bags, right? It's the celebrities that you see carrying the bags. It's the rich people who you see flaunting these bags that brings up that value that makes you want the bag, right? So when we're talking about our own value, right, how can we bring our own value up? Number one, we have to see ourselves as someone who is worth, deserving of high value things. And again, I'm going to try to stay away from the idea of material, okay? We're not talking about material possessions. So you might think that being a high value woman means like, oh, I'm driving the best car and I'm carrying the best bags and I'm going to eat at the best places. It's not that. What it really comes down to is your mindset. It comes down to your confidence. It comes down to your grace. It comes down to your speech, the way that you talk about yourself, the way that you talk to other people, the way that you treat other people, the way that you treat yourself, right? Also, it comes down to having a level of self-respect. So in order for you to be considered high value, right, where people are seeing you on this pedestal, right? Oh, I can't really get to her level because I know I'm here and she's there. So what makes that gap, right? Again, going back to the way that you treat yourself. So let's use dating for an example, right? So if I consider myself a high value woman and maybe there's a man that wants to take me on a date and he decides on the date that he's not going to pay for the entire bill, but instead he wants to ask me to split the bill. So me having the values and the standards that I have, I'm not going to accept a second date with this man because I already know what my values are when it comes to dating, right? I already have standards for myself. I already know the type of man that I want. So I'm not saying that you don't have to split bills or go half and half if you are a high value woman. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to know what your standards and your values are and you have to stand on them, right? So being a high value woman, that includes like not lowering what you want out of life. If you know that you want something, if you know that you want the best of the best, if you know that you want your man to show up in a certain capacity or, do certain things for you or support you in certain ways, you have to stand on that. You have to make that clear. You have to be able to communicate, right? Another quality of a high value woman, she's able to communicate in a healthy way. She's able to communicate her needs. She's able to communicate her wants. She doesn't get frustrated easily, right? She doesn't allow people to throw her off her shit and get upset. A high value woman is not going to sit here and argue with you. Okay. And that's like, I feel like that's one of the biggest things. Like high value women, they are not about to argue with you. And not saying that they're not going to stand their ground, they're not going to stick up for themselves, but they're not going to go back and forth with you, right? It's kind of like that saying, like, I said what I said. Right. So if you know your value, you know your worth, you know what you want, you know who you are, right? That's really what it comes down to as well. You know who you are. You got to stand on business, okay? You can't settle for less, right? High value. Do you think that you're going into a Louis Vuitton store or you're going into a Prada store and you're going to bargain for a bag? No, the value is set. The price is the price, honey, okay? The value is set. The price is what it is. So they're not going to sit there and bargain with you to get the price down. Like that's not what it is. So when you're looking for less, you're going to go and you're going to find less. So when we're talking about, again, like let's use the example of dating. If a guy wants less and he sees you as being too much or, too expensive, too needy, out of his league, great. Have him find less. That's okay. You're going to find the person that's going to want to give you all the things that you require in a relationship, right? So when we decide that we are going to be that high value woman, that also means that we are not going to lower those standards. We're not going to accept less. That also means that there's this acceptance that not everybody's going to be for us. Not everybody's going to like us. Not everybody's going to be able to match my freak, right? If we're talking about, matching energy, not everybody's going to be able to do that for you. Not everybody's going to show up in the same capacity. Not everybody's going to have the same values. Let's talk about values a little bit, right? Because this is really what it's about, right? High value woman. The key word here is value. What about you brings your value up? what can you say about yourself that makes you a high value woman? Like, do you take care of yourself? Are you taking care of your physical appearance? Are you making sure that your clothes are clean, your face is clean, right? You're taking care of yourself as far as like maintenance, brushing your teeth, taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair. And I'm not talking about like the superficial things of like always needing to have like your hair, your nails, your toes done. Like obviously like those are expenses, right? Those are maintenance expenses, which, you know, whole nother topic, whole nother podcast episode that we could talk about. But it's not even just like the spending. Like I said, it's not the material things necessarily. It's really just like, how do you present yourself? How do you present yourself to the world? And also, are you okay with the way that you present yourself? Like the way that I want to show up on this podcast, like I want to make sure that I look my best. And some days, like I might not look my best, you know, and me not looking my best, you know, quote unquote, or me not feeling my best, someone else might think that I look amazing, right? Someone else might think like, damn, you look gorgeous. Like you really put effort into your look today, right? Meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know, like I'm not really feeling it. But it really comes down to like, how are you showing up for yourself? F what everybody else thinks, right? Are you putting in your best effort? Are you putting your best foot forward? Also, when it comes to work, right? Are we really showing up, doing our absolute best? Are we putting in the effort? Are we showing up knowing our potential? Right? Potential is another keyword here when we're talking about high value, right? Knowing your potential, knowing what you're capable of, knowing all of your gifts, embracing your talents, embracing your beauty, embracing the quirks about yourself, right? Embracing things that are unique, right? And using them to your advantage to really like alchemize to create this life that you want for yourself and not really allowing self-doubt to hold you back. Because let's just be real. We all have periods where self-doubt is going to creep in. It might be higher at certain times in our lives, but we have to be able to shake that self-doubt. We have to be so confident and so clear on who we are and what we want and knowing what we're capable of so that when that self-doubt comes in, like we're able to slap that hoe. Like, get out of here. Like, we're not doing this today, sweetie, okay? And it's normal, it's natural. The self-doubt's going to come in, right? It also comes down to your environment. So high value women are not spending time around people who don't believe in themselves. They're not spending time around people who don't take life seriously. They're not hanging around people who are constantly self-harming, you know, sabotaging themselves, talking badly about either themselves or other people, people who are gossiping, people who are constantly hating on other people. Like, nah, we're not doing that. Not a high value woman. Okay. We're curating and we're carefully putting ourselves in spaces where we're being uplifted, where we're also uplifting other women. A high value woman is going to uplift other women, going to encourage other women to also live their best lives, show up for themselves, be the best that they could possibly be, right? Be around women who know their worth and their value, who want to create a better life for themselves. Also, a high value woman is going to prioritize her health. She's going to take care of her body, right? And this is not just the physical appearance, but internally, right? Taking her supplements, eating healthy, exercising, moving her body often, taking care of herself, going to the doctor, getting checkups, really considering your wellness, right? That is a big component of being a high value woman. Another thing that a high value woman is going to do is to stay in her lane. Okay. A high value woman is going to stay in her lane. So that means not comparing herself to other people, right? And yes, this is something that's natural. Let's just be real here, right? Sometimes it is going to come up where you're going to compare yourself, but we don't live in that. A high value woman is not going to live in that. And she's not going to put herself in those circumstances to constantly be feeling less than, right? If you're constantly hanging around people who are making you feel less than, who are making you feel, you know, as if your value is low, like maybe you need to take yourself out of those situations, out of those settings, out of those environments, right? Unfollowing people who don't make you feel good, right? A high value woman is going to curate her social media. So following people who are going to inspire, people who make her feel, that life is worth doing something, right? Just doing better in life, wanting to make the most out of life. A high value woman knows the value of life itself, right? We know that we only get one opportunity every single day to really just make the most out of life, to improve the quality of your life. That's really what it's about, right? High value women, they value life. They value their experiences. They value the opportunities that they receive. They know that every single day is a new chance to become better, to raise your value, right? And the thing about being a high value woman is like, you don't wake up and you're just that. You have to continuously work at it. You have to continuously work on your confidence. You have to continuously work on your mindset. You have to continuously work on your speech, right? The things that are coming out of your mouth, the relationship with yourself, being comfortable with just standing in front of the mirror, right? Being comfortable with your body, loving your body, getting to know the things that you love, right? Getting to know things about yourself, cultivating a healthy relationship with yourself. That's what it comes down to. Because how can we expect anybody to come in and treat us, with such high worth, right? With such high value when like we don't even see that for ourselves. We have to find that value within ourselves. What is your life worth right now at this moment? What are you willing to do to make your life even better? And the last thing that I'm going to say here is a high value woman knows the importance of time. Okay. She is not wasting her time doing things that do not matter. She is not wasting her time doing things that are not going to benefit her. She's not going to waste her time in spaces that don't feel good. She's not going to waste her time taking on roles and jobs and opportunities that like aren't really going to benefit, anybody, not just herself, but we see the bigger picture and everything, right? Am I going to waste your time? Are you going to waste my time? Time is currency. Time is the most valuable thing that we have. So when we know that and we're aware of that and we are able to really think about like, how am I spending my time? Do I want to be spending my time with these people? Do I want to be spending my time doing this? Do I want to be spending my time at this job that I hate? Do I want to be spending my time just talking shit, complaining, right? No. High value women, they're going to find solutions. They are going to put themselves in the best places where they can grow. And sometimes that includes being uncomfortable, right? Putting yourself in spaces where you are uncomfortable, putting yourself in spaces where there are other high value women that you see higher than you, right? Because now you're going to be inspired. Now you're going to feel like, okay, I have something to work up to. Now I see what's possible for me, right? A high value woman, she is okay with being around people who can expand her mind. Okay. And that's the most important thing. We want to constantly be able to expand our minds, to expand our value, to know what we want out of life. Okay. So I hope that this episode was helpful to you today. And I hope that you got some tips, took some notes. Okay. Save this video, save this episode, come back to it later, save it. And if you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you rate and review. Okay. That would really help this channel out and help the podcast grow and continue to, just reach more people just like yourself looking for these real conversations, honey. All right. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Respect Kitty, and Let's Just Be Real Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys in another episode. Take care, y'all. Bye.